YouTube? This is Tired Metalhead Weatherman. Got me doing another daily double here today. A lot happened earlier this afternoon. You had a massive severe weather event that's actually still ongoing, but even a little bit of I would almost call it a tornado outbreak. Maybe it is one. Maybe it will be once we get all the reports in. But Wisconsin got walloped today by a QLCS. That is a quasi-linear convective system. Had damaging winds, significant damaging winds, and a few strong tornadoes from the looks of it, alike today that hit several areas and impacted populated areas. There are injuries that have been reported. There have been some unconfirmed injuries at this time. I don't have too many details, obviously, but it's been a very active day so far. We also have had severe weather to the south and east, and I covered that in my most recent video, which I posted a couple hours ago. But I'm back here because there's even more weather to talk about over the next couple of days, mainly tomorrow. So we're going to get into that right now without any delay. If you guys like what I've been doing recently on the channel, and I'm still trying new things, like the last video I was trying to use Radar Mega almost exclusively for that video. Just let me know in the comments if you liked that video, if you want me to do things in that format more. Any feedback is appreciated. But we're going to be talking about tomorrow's severe weather threat. It's an enhanced risk. An enhanced risk was issued for this earlier, right around the time when I put up the first video. And we're going to pretty much go over these areas real quick and go over the parameters. And we'll also take a look at the tropics too, because there's a little bit of activity there as well. So first things first, we're going to take a look at the secondary slight risk area that I've seen here. And this is going to be around the Missouri Valley. We got areas in Illinois. We got Springfield involved here, as well as Hannibal, the city of Jefferson in Missouri, St. Louis and Kansas City. You guys are involved as well. And we have pieces of Nebraska and Kansas in play as well. I have to watch you guys for the threat of severe weather. All hazards are possible. We have wind, hail, and tornadoes. Wind is definitely going to be the greatest threat. We'll get to the timing of that in a minute. But our main event is right here in this region in the Northeast. We have an enhanced risk for areas just to the east of Buffalo. These areas also include Rochester, Watertown, Binghamton, Pittsburgh even. You guys are in play. There's plenty of other areas as well. I would say Altoona, and I am not sure how to pronounce that. Oh, Syracuse is even in play, as well as Rochester. But Iron de Croix, I'm going to guess that's how it's pronounced. You guys are also in play for some severe weather, for some potentially nasty severe weather at that. But this even stretches further back to the east. We have some areas in the Ohio Valley involved. We have Columbus in play with Cleveland. You're right on that line between marginal and slight. I would almost go as far as to even call you in the slight risk, but we'll have to see how things unfold tomorrow. But we also have Akron in play. And then when we start to move back up to the northeast, we have Scranton. And it looks like Buffalo's in there in that slight risk as well. But some areas that we can't forget here: Charlotte, Columbia, Raleigh. You guys are in play. We have Virginia Beach, Richmond. We have the entire Delmarva area, so that includes the city of Washington, D.C., Baltimore. And then we have areas around pretty much all of West Virginia is at risk, as well as parts of eastern Kentucky and eastern Tennessee, as well as northern South Carolina. Hazard type over here, the main threat is wind, but we cannot rule out tornadoes. In fact, there's now a 5% chance of a tornado within 25 miles of a given point in the brown. That is covering our enhanced risk area. So this looks like this QLCS that has been that the storm system that's caused the QLCS around Wisconsin and parts of Michigan will be moving its way to the northeast tomorrow. Most likely tomorrow afternoon, or a new one is expected to form. So wind is the main threat. Can't rule out tornadoes, and then we also have a pretty considerable hail threat. No significant tags on any of these at the moment, which we hope it stays that way. But of course, as we've talked about plenty of times in the past, our slight risk for hail is our yellow area and our marginal risk is in the brown. So we also have a marginal risk on Friday. Not really much to really talk about at the moment. Most likely it's going to be a damaging wind threat because we've been in this weird setup for the south and east the last couple of days where we have these mesoscale convective systems that form up around here just off coast, and they actually will move to the south and west. Normally when you get storms around this region, they end up coming in from northwest to southeast, or southeast or southwest to northeast. Rarely do you ever see it coming from this direction, which is really odd. So be on the lookout for that. Seems like that weather pattern isn't going to be changing anytime soon, and unfortunately this also means that the heat around here ain't going nowhere, and it really sucks for me because I work in it. Anyways, let's take a look at tomorrow's severe weather threat here. Let's get a little bit more intimate with this, so to speak. So we're looking at the Euro model, trying to get an idea what the radar could look like tomorrow. Here's our severe weather ongoing right now. Severe thunderstorm warnings are in effect. Our tornado watches should be allowed to expire shortly around Wisconsin and parts of Michigan. Say anyone that's to the east of Lake Michigan, I think you're good. Now, as far as Chicago, I think within the next hour or so, I believe that you guys will be in line for some pretty strong storms. Main threats, damaging wind. Can't rule out a spin-up tornado. Towards the south and east, we have we were kind of expecting an MCS and a big line of storms to form, but it doesn't look like that has materialized. We can't rule out that happening in western Alabama, hence the severe thunderstorm watch that was issued a bit earlier. So you guys might need to be on the lookout for that. But we'll move forward here. And you can even see now that some weather is already working its way into the north and east by tomorrow morning. But the main threat doesn't really kick off until tomorrow afternoon. And by the overnight, this should already be out of the area. Excuse me. Then by Friday, we're going to be looking at yet another odd looking MCS setup, again around the southeast. Starts out off coast towards the Carolinas and then tries to work its way southeast. Meets this little feature here, and then we have storms that kind of go from north to south, and it's going to be pretty scattered in coverage. It's going to be hard to pinpoint whether or not, well, who gets what and where the actual risk area is, to be honest. That's just how it's been the last few days. Like today, my area was under slight risk and we got nothing. We just got a couple rumbles of thunder and that was it. It's just a really wacky pattern as far as thunderstorms are concerned. But it's got all the heat and humidity that you could ever, well, not want. Now that that's moved out, let's take a look at some of the parameters for tomorrow. We're going to take a look at the low-level jet real quick, get an idea of what kind of tornado juice might be in the atmosphere for the northeast. Also, I want to make this little disclaimer now to those that are watching the channel. If you're starting to think, oh, I see this purple and red stuff over my area, am I getting tornadoes? That doesn't work that way unless you have thunderstorms in that area. Like if you don't have a thunderstorm over this area by Thursday afternoon in Wisconsin, which your storms have already passed anyway, you don't have to worry about a tornado threat. You might get some increased wind, but that's about it. So we do have a little bit of an area around here. Maybe towards the Buffalo region we might have to watch real close in the afternoon and evening hours. And then once we get into the overnight, I think the threat really will start to diminish, and then this will just be the wind behind the back that's on the back side of this system here. And then we'll look around on Friday, nothing really there. Then a new piece of energy is going to pop up here on Saturday around the northern plains. We'll have to watch that for potential severe weather, but we'll cover that probably in tomorrow's video. Now, main subject, and this kind of applies for both the north and southeast regions, we will have to look at these CAPE values. These CAPE values have been what's been causing a lot of trouble for us in particular. So we're moving on into Thursday. CAPE values already spike up pretty fast. We're not seeing the same kind of capes that we've been seeing the last couple of days, but this is a longer range model, so it tends to be a little bit more passive on CAPE values. If we looked at this on probably something like the NAM or HRRR, I bet you these values would be even higher than this. But to see that on something like the Euro is pretty impressive. Still seeing values around 2,500, even some 3,000s here and there in certain areas. Pretty much around the entire eastern seaboard. We'll have to watch that real close. And then of course right here we have even higher CAPE values in the central plains around the Missouri Valley. We're getting towards the 4,000 mark as well. So we'll have, so of course, very good reason to have a slight risk issued over there. And of course Friday, more CAPE available. I think they might shift that marginal risk a little bit further south, or they might extend it. Hard to say right now. And then seems like we start to get some decrease in CAPE, but it doesn't last long. It stretches out to the north and east, to the north and west, and then the northern plains are involved in this now. Then Sunday things seemed like they are going to calm down from the looks of it as well. But we'll hash out those details in a later video. Now, let's take a look at the tropics, because there's been a little bit of activity here. Like I said before, earlier this year, we were expecting a very active hurricane season, and it does not surprise me that we have disturbances that will be that are being noted worth watching, and this is one of them. This is over towards eastern Nicaragua. This is a little disturbance. It's already over land, and this has a 10% chance of forming within the next 48 hours. I really don't even think it's that high. I really don't even think it's even that high. Like, it's not 10%. It's probably lower than that right now, because it's over land and it's expected to move over this part of Nicaragua right now. And what I'm expecting to happen next is it may work its way into this little strait right here and may develop, but then right after that it's going to go into the Yucatan Peninsula. It's going to go right over this area and try to work its way into the Yucatan. There isn't really too great of a window for this disturbance to really develop into anything significant, but of course with it being where it is during the time of year that it is, we're going to have to watch this. So we'll take a look at the 5-day. And there's a little bit of increase. There is a slightly greater chance of development, but not very much. So we have a 20% chance. Such a vast improvement right now. But yeah, right around the Gulf of Honduras is where we're expecting this thing to potentially get its act together. Do I think it really will? To be honest, no. I just think there's too much land interaction. But again, like I said, given the time of year, we can't let this slip under our nose. Let's take a look at the Eastern Pacific. Let's see what's going on there. Let's see if the story's a little different. And look at this. We have our B named storm. It's made its way up to hurricane status at 85 miles an hour right now. It's Hurricane Blas. It's moving west northwest at 6 miles per hour with a central pressure of 980 millibars. But this looks to be moving off. With it looking to be moving off this way, this is most likely going to be a fish storm. And then we have this little disturbance behind it that may also form into a tropical system. It seems pretty likely, but it also looks like this has a very narrow window to develop into anything, and this also kind of has that look like it could become a fish storm. We'll still have to watch this closely, because if it takes that turn, if it by some chance takes that turn to the north, next thing you know, we end up in the Yucatan Peninsula, and then this becomes a problem for the Gulf states. So now that we know what's going on here, let's take a look at the ensemble. Let's take a look at the Euro model and the GEFS and see what might be down the line for us possibly. Now we're at the Euro. Looking at the Caribbean right now. This is our main area of interest right now during this time of year. The early part of hurricane season. We usually look more close to home, and when we look here, there isn't really too much going on until about 192 hours out. About a week from now, we get this interesting little feature that forms up around, forms just north and east of Cuba. I'm not too convinced as to whether this forms up into anything or not, because I'm gonna guess this is coming from a little further out. It's very questionable as to whether or not it makes it through that environment, because the further out you go, there tends to be a lot less conducive environment for tropical development. There's a lot more shear the further out you go into the Atlantic, and the waters are still a little bit cool over there at the moment. But Euro has picked up on something here, and we're going to see what it does. It makes its way into eastern Florida, and that's the end of our model run. Keep in mind, like I said, this is pretty far out. This is on the far end of our model run, so there's not much confidence to be had with this. But if this doesn't strengthen into much of anything but does form, I think a lot of people would actually be rooting for this thing, because when I tell them that this would probably kick out this ridge that's causing us so much heat and misery in the southeast, people will probably be like, yes, please happen, please happen. Just don't strengthen much. But that's the Euro. Let's take a look and see if the American Ensemble model, the GEFS, has anything similar to that. We'll also take a look a little further out. So the GEFS has picked up on what the National Hurricane Center is talking about, and it's running with it. Doesn't form into much of anything from the looks of it right now within the next day, but that's to be expected. We also see this little storm here forming probably behind Hurricane Blas, and it should be moving off. But wait a minute, and you would think it will be moving off. And then hang on a minute. This thing's kind of lingering like it wants to try to get into the Yucatan, but I don't think it quite makes it. And then here's an interesting look here. We don't get a tropical system here from the GEFS, but we do get something that forms that forms just north of Nicaragua again. Oh, I probably screwed that up. Nicaragua. Yeah. Oh wow. I'll let you know I'm tired. It's been a long day. Done 2 videos today. I've been landscaping in 100-degree plus heat. So, want to make fun of me in the comments? Leave me alone. But oh wow, we're at 20 minutes. Wow. Anyways, move forward here, if my computer will. This tries to work its way into the Gulf and become a lot more organized, but it's hard to tell what happens with it after that. You just kind of lose the texture. That's what tends to happen with these anomaly maps once you get really far out too, so you have to take all this with a grain of salt. But this is all I got for you guys. A lot to cover in that video. Would have been even longer if I tried to cover the severe weather that was going on at the time of the first video I put up today. Also, I'm just flat out exhausted, to be honest with you. Been doing that and working on other things for my other YouTube channel. I'll leave that at the end of this video screen here. But this is all I got for you guys. This has been Ty, your Metalhead Weatherman. You guys have a good night, and I'll see you on the next video.